Because the one thing we want to do is to feel Baba's constant presence. Very real, very formidable. That expression that Baba used one time, when you're not thinking about me, you're vulnerable. That has to be absolutely understood in its literal sense, because it is absolutely true. But when we see it, obviously, the more we see the truth of it, the more we will be definitely motivated to making a greater effort to think of him. And with that kind of motivation, because we do understand more, we will be thinking about him in a different way, a more meaningful way. I am closer to you than your own breath must become more than words, and they will become more than words. There's no question about it. The inevitability of having belief in someone who is God-realized. The God-realized person helps creation, he helps the individual. He helps creation indirectly, that is to say, all the other individuals who do not know about him, he affects them indirectly. But the individual who is consciously aware of the God-man focuses on him, tries to make that incredible fact of existence, the total reality in human form, tries to comprehend that, to bring that within some kind of a working relationship with the thoughts that the individual has. I have thoughts. Here is this staggering fact. How does my conscious mind, with its usual preoccupation with thoughts, deal with this staggering fact? Well, the fact has to become more and more staggering. When it becomes more and more staggering, there's less and less difficulty in dealing with it. And Baba says, ultimately love, he said. Do you remember those statements that Baba made? Certain instructions or admonitions. Do this, do that, do this, don't do that, don't do this. And then the next to the last one he said, and try to love me. But the last thing he said was, but if you cannot, do not worry, because I love you. See? I can't even conceive of anybody who is as broad-minded as that. I mean, everything about Baba is enough to make you really draw close to him. My first experience, what an overwhelming friend. Really friend. When I used to think about Baba and I used to think about the word friend, every hair on my body stood up. Friend. When I thought of Baba as the friend, I didn't even know that spiritual aspirants like Rumi used the word friend when he was referring to God. I didn't even know that. See? Which means that where did that kind of a concept, understanding come from? We each are God, So God makes his presence felt as we focus on him. So we will come up with similar concepts, won't we? We're bound to. You might disguise the language, but that doesn't make any difference. Doesn't make any difference. When there's reality in something, in some odd form, it's the reality that comes through that oddity. Truth comes through it. Words can be very clumsy, or words can be very unfamiliar. When you read spiritual discourses that are rooted in, let's say, a foreign kind of an idiom, an unfamiliar kind of context, like Hinduism, Mohammedanism, any kind of ism. And the words were the utterances of those who knew and experienced. That's what comes through. You're not put off. You're not confused by the unfamiliarity of the expression. It's the truth that comes through. This was my experience in reading the Bhagavad Gita for the very first time. This was my experience in reading self-knowledge, the Upanishads. And what was it? The truth inside was corresponding to what I was reading. So, yes, that discourse is very timely. And I sort of shy away from saying, well, this is an unusual time we're living in. But I suppose if you are being pretty accurate in terms of what you're feeling, then you can say, well, in the first place, I somehow sense, particularly with those Baba people I've known for a long time, I somehow sense the similar direction that we all travel, the similar thoughts that begin to be meaningful to us, in spite of the external differences. So it seems as though there is a correlation. You awaken to a correlation in the work, the universal work that Baba does, and what begins to become meaningful to you, or what you begin to see that you didn't see before. Like passing a building that you've passed for many, many years, and at one time somehow your attention is drawn to that building. It's though you saw it for the first time, even though you went past it every day. We gradually have to see the difficult things that happen to us in a different way. Because in truth, in the Baba community, when I say Baba community, I'm merely talking about those people who believe he is what he says he is. That these difficulties occurring to people in that kind of a community are really little love slaps from Baba. We certainly can easily imagine much worse things happening. And the difficulty that is there is that in spite of the way we feel, to struggle to accept it as his will, and his will works for our highest good in the easiest way. Our effort is to struggle to accept that. And then Baba would have us even go further than that. He said, then you get to the place where you become cheerful in your acceptance of it. Well, we know that's hard. If we know it's hard, he certainly knows it's hard. You know what it's like when you have concern for someone else, when you have feelings for someone else. You're able to forget yourself to that extent. And here's Baba who has total concern for you. Total concern. We have to begin to identify in terms that we can understand and appreciate and feel something more exalted in Baba so that we draw to him. The strange thing is God himself is saying, try to love me. That's really strange because it seems to be so contrary to every religion, as it is practiced anyway. God himself says, try to love me. This is really remarkable. That always staggers me. I can be walking along and I'll stop. Almost become transfixed. Because it's something that you want to grip somehow. Find the way to deal with that. And yet, it's that kind of thinking that is meaningful. Even though Baba said that you can't really understand. I use this story over and over again about holding up God Speaks, and Baba says in 58, who understands this? And I don't remember who responded, or if anyone responded. I don't remember anyone responding, but anyway, that's not important. What was important was what Baba said. He says, I don't understand it myself. See, But yet, at the same time, he said, you must try to understand everything I've said. And one way, certainly, of understanding the importance of this directive, or this admonishment on his part, is that our minds are trying to, our consciousness has to now preoccupy itself with the things that Baba has said. Baba said, think of me in any way that you can. In time you'll think of me in the right way. Anything that makes you think about me or helps you to think about me is good. See, anything. So if you have a picture of Baba, some people don't like hanging up pictures, or some people don't like wearing the whatever on their sleeves, or going around and holding up signs, or this kind of thing. But if to that person it is helpful at that person's place to make him think about Baba more, that is a good thing. That's what Baba's saying. That's why we really can't, it's not our place to judge anyway. What does Baba say in one of his discourses? Do not waste your precious lifespan judging and criticizing your fellow man. But that's got to be so deeply and grippingly felt and understood. Do not waste. No, what does that say? It says, if you see a mountain of things to criticize in another person, he's that gross. You see? Baba is saying, do not waste your precious lifespan. Waste. God himself is saying, do not waste your precious lifespan judging and criticizing your fellow man. He is saying that there is something priceless for you to be preoccupying yourself with rather than that. See? That's what he wants us to think about.